The expression on Xian's face drastically changed upon hearing Xiao Yan's dense words filled with killing intent. He did not hesitate even a little as the dou qi within his body erupted in all directions at this moment, after which all of it agglomerated on his right palm. The rich, fiery red dou qi gathered on Xian's right hand, causing his entire arm look like a burning red charcoal. A frightening fire-red dou qi was swiftly gathered on his palm, appearing just like an unusually sharp fire blade. Mysterious fire blade. A ferociousness had also surged up Xian's face at this moment. His hand trembled, and it formed into the shape of a blade, after which it was ruthlessly hacked at Xiao Yan's head. With the wave of his hand, the fire knife formed by hot, fire-red dou qi also moved. At the same time, a searing hot, sharp wind tore a dark black crack in space itself. No matter what the case was, Xian was also an expert with a strength that was similar to Xiao Yan. This attack had been unleashed during his all-out retaliation was quite powerful. The cold expression on Xiao Yan's face became even denser in the face of Xian's fierce and violent retaliation. Xiao Yan's hand curled into a claw shape as a jade-green flame surged out. It immediately transformed into a flame glove that wrapped around Xiao Yan's hands. Not the slightest ripple appeared on Xiao Yan's face after the flame agglomerated into a fire glove, after which he ruthlessly threw a punch. This punch heavily collided with the fire blade of Xian in front of numerous gazes. Bang! The fist and palm collided as a high-temperature wind swept away at this moment. Some of the large rocks started to crack, and some even exploded into a countless number of stone fragments with a bang. The collision of the fist and palm caused Xian's expression to swiftly pale. On the other hand, Xiao Yan's expression remained the same. It did not change even a little while, dealing with Xian's fierce retaliation. Get lost. The sharp wind on the fire blade swiftly weakened after making contact with the glazed lotus heart flame. A moment later, it showed signs of crumbling. A chill flashed across Xiao Yan's dark black eyes at this moment. At the same time, a cold cry exploded from the tip of his tongue like thunder across the clear sky. This cry spread out like a wave. Along with this cry came a majestic force that caused Xian's expression to fill with horror. Grug. A terrifying force surged out of Xiao Yan's palm like floodwater. The defenses of the dou qi within Xian's body fell apart under this force. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out from his mouth with a grug sound. A clear bone-crushing sound immediately erupted from Xian's right hand when the fresh blood shot out. His body flew backwards and heavily smashed into an enormous mountain rock, shaking the rock until numerous tiny cracks formed. A moment later, a crack sound finally rang out and the enormous rock was blasted apart. Its interior was shattered into dust by the hidden force. Xian's body collapsed into the dust of the giant rock. His body continued to twitch. Clearly, Xiao Yan's attack had seriously injured him. Xiao Yan, who had used the first change of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, could fight with a 7 or even 8-star elite dozome. However, it would be a little bit of a stretch for him to deal with a 9-star dozome. The reason the old man with the surname Bai had been forced back by Xiao Yan with one strike was mostly due to Xiao Yan's own strength. After that exchange earlier, Xiao Yan was aware that the old man with the surname Bai had just advanced to the 9th star. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to have been forced back with just one ruler strike. Even though Xiao Yan had used the first change of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, it would still be impossible for him to injure a 9-star dozome. Unfortunately, Xian had not reached this level. The strength he was proud of was not even worth mentioning in Xiao Yan's eyes. Numerous gazes on the hill looked at Xian, who appeared extremely miserable after having collapsed in the pile of dust. All of them quietly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Their gazes turned to Xiao Yan with additional fear. The vicious attacks of Xiao Yan terrified them. Song Qing and Chao Ying's gazes also paused on the miserable-looking Xian. The expressions of the two were different. The expression of Song Qing was gloomy. He had a slight friendship with Xian. Xiao Yan's public treatment of Xian had naturally caused his face to appear a little ugly. That which, Chao Ying, on the other hand, seemed to be very interested in this kind of fight between men. Her enchanting eyes leaped with excitement. From the looks of it, she seemed to want the two of them to charge forward and fight to the death. "Brat, you have gone overboard." At this moment, that old man with the surname Bai, who had been shaken by Xiao Yan until his aura had become sluggish, finally recovered his strength. He looked at the seriously injured Xian, and his expression changed. With a furious roar, his body transformed into lightning as he rushed toward Xiao Yan with a sharp wind full of killing intent. Xiao Yan slightly knit his brows when he saw that old man with the surname Bai attack. He glanced at Xian, who was staring at him with vicious eyes from the pile of dust. Immediately, Xiao Yan let out a cold smile. His body moved, and he once again rushed toward Xian. From the looks of it, he seemed to be planning on giving the seriously injured Xian the final blow. Xiao Yan's body had just moved when quite a number of people detected his intention. Quite a number of people's expectations changed. They had not expected Xiao Yan to attempt to kill the junior sect leader of the profound Xian sect in this place. "Brat, you dare!" Xiao Yan's actions were also discovered by that old man with the surname Bai, and he gave chase. Xiao Yan acted as though he did not hear the howl. He already intended to kill Xian. This person would take revenge for all grievances. Back then, they merely had a small conflict at the alchemist trade fair, but this person had gone and investigated Xiao Yan. After which, he had sold this information to the members of the Hall of Souls, resulting in Xiao Yan nearly being killed. If Xian Kongzi had not suddenly intervened that night, it was likely that Xiao Yan would have had no other choice but to use the extermination fire lotus. The elite Do Zun experts were still extremely powerful existences to the current him. Before he refined the third type of heavenly flame, Xiao Yan understood that he did not have many fighting techniques he could use against an elite Do Zun. After all, the gap in strength between the classes was really too great. Xian had caused Xiao Yan to nearly lose his life. This matter was naturally not something that Xiao Yan could simply let go with a smile. From a certain point of view, Xiao Yan was a person who would take revenge for all grievances he had suffered. Any favor must be returned, and any animosity must be repaid. The viciousness in Xian's eyes was immediately replaced by panic when he saw Xiao Yan rushing at him with killing intent. With his current condition, he would not even be able to last one exchange against Xiao Yan. The current Xiao Yan only needed to gently move his finger, and it would be enough to cause him, the junior sect leader of the profound Xian sect, to lose his life here. "Xiao Yan, if you dare kill me, the profound Xian sect will definitely not let you off." Xian was not bothered much by this critical life and death moment as his voice sharply cried out. Xiao Yan completely ignored his sharp cry. He would never naively think that Xian would be grateful to him if he let Xian off now. If one were to let a vicious wolf off, it would still find opportunities to bite back at oneself. Xiao Yan had seen quite a lot through his years of experience. He would naturally not hold back at this moment. Xian's face instantly became much paler when he saw Xiao Yan ignore his threat. Regret finally surged into his heart at this moment. If he knew that this fellow was so ruthless, he would not have offended him back then. Regret was useless at this moment because Xiao Yan, who was accompanied by a murderous aura, flashed and appeared above Xian's head at this moment. His dark black eyes revealed traces of dense chill that caused one to feel cold. The large, black ruler in his hand was being wrapped by a hot flame. Space itself became distorted wherever the black ruler passed. When you are reincarnated in your next life, you should think about the consequences of any evil thoughts. A ferocious expression flashed across the corner of Xiao Yan's mouth as he looked at the terror on Xian's face. The heavy ruler in his hand did not hesitate as it carried the deafening sound of rushing wind and violently smashed toward Xian's head with a bang. Xiao Yan's attack was completely merciless. Clearly, he intended to take Xian's life with this ruler strike. Xian looked at the jade-green fire ruler that was magnifying within his eyes. His face was already without color. "Stop!" A cry suddenly exploded beside Xiao Yan's ear like thunder while the heavy ruler was swung. Xiao Yan knit his eyebrows upon hearing this cry. However, he continued to ignore it. Instead, the speed his heavy ruler fell increased. Mysterious mud fire shield. The person who had cried out earlier also appeared to be aware that words were useless against Xiao Yan. Hence, He could not resist intervening after yelling out. The ground in front of Xian suddenly trembled at this moment. Immediately, the bang sounded and the soil surged out like water in a flood. The surprising thing was that the soil was mixed with a deep yellow flame. The soil surged and immediately formed an extremely tough shield in front of Xian. A strange, deep yellow flame lingered on the shield. Bang! The soil shield had just been formed when the heavy ruler suddenly fell. It heavily landed on the shield. A low, deep explosion suddenly sounded. One could see the soil shield violently shake when the heavy ruler fell. Sand shot out in all directions. However, this soil shield had slowed Xiao Yan's attack. Xiao Yan's expression slightly sank as he sensed the slight sluggishness of his heavy ruler when it penetrated the soil shield. He knew that whoever had intervened was not intending to block his attack, but had been planning to buy some precious time for that old man with the surname Bai. It was just as Xiao Yan had expected. While his ruler was slowing, a majestic Doqi rushed behind him in an instant. Moreover, it was aimed at the back of his heart. Clearly, if he really insisted on killing Xian, the person behind him definitely take his life. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes at this split second. His falling ruler suddenly shook. A hidden force suddenly penetrated the soil shield and heavily struck Xian's lower abdomen. The body of Xian stiffened when this hidden force struck his lower abdomen. Xiao Yan did not have the time to check if the hidden force had caused Xian. The heavy ruler in his hand reflexively swung backwards in a violent manner. It immediately collided with the vast, mighty palm wind of the old man Bai, who was furiously pouncing over. Bang! The heavy ruler collided with the palm wind, and a muffled sound immediately appeared. The fierce wind swept apart like a storm. Xiao Yan's toes pressed against empty air as his body swiftly withdrew. At the same time, his feet took a couple of continuous steps through the air. Each time his foot landed, space itself would tremble. This continued for a couple of steps before Xiao Yan forcefully stabilized his body. This furious attack by the old man with the surname Bai was powerful. If this attack had landed on Xiao Yan's defenseless back, it probably would have gave him a serious injury. Xiao Yan's feet stepped on empty air before he stabilized his body. His eyes was clearly a little gloomy as they landed on Song Qing because the person who had suddenly stopped Xiao Yan from killing Xian was him. Song Qing did not show much fear when he saw Xiao Yan's dark, solemn eyes looking over. With his position in the pill tower, there was no need for him to be afraid of Xiao Yan. He immediately said in a deep voice, "Xiao Yan, Brother Chen has currently joined this temporary alliance of ours. You should not attempt to kill him. Currently, everyone's strength is the capital for us to defeat the fierce beast in the 10,000 medicinal mountain range. Is this action of yours an attempt to stop us from passing this selection?" This Song Qing was quite a vicious person. His words had already placed Xiao Yan in a position that opposed the many alchemists present. However, how great of an effect his words could achieve was unknown. "Based on what you have said, only he is allowed to kill me?" Xiao Yan laughed upon hearing this. Song Qing slightly knit his brows and said with a faint voice, "Brother Chen is merely getting someone to capture you. Isn't the fact that you are still fine prove my point? Your ability to alter the truth is indeed a talent. Xian personally said that he wants me to suffer a fate worse than death. Don't tell me that those present did not hear his words?" Xiao Yan smiled. He glanced at Song Qing and lazily said, "You should also forget about saying all this nonsense. The people here are not fools. No one will be listened to your words. If you are really displeased, you can just attack. I will receive you." Song Qing was dull. His eyes swept around him, and he did see the alchemists idly standing to the side. None of them revealed any enmity to Xiao Yan because of Song Qing's words. All of these old cunning fellows. Song Qing was helpless in his heart when he saw this. Who could participate in the pill gathering and be an ordinary person? It was not an easy task to provoke them into becoming enemies with others. The ability of an alchemist does not lie in fighting and killing. If you really have the ability, I will wait for you at the pill gathering. Song Qing would naturally not submit in public. His eyes looked at Xiao Yan while he coldly laughed. Perhaps he was no match for Xiao Yan when it came to fighting strength. However, he was very confident when it came to pill refinement. At that time, He would let Xiao Yan know that the nonsense 5 Great Clan test champion was worthless in his eyes. Xiao Yan was noncommittal to these harsh words of Song Qing. His eyes glanced at the other elder of the profound Xian sect, who had been pestered by the earth demon puppet to the point of not being able to move. An order was issued from his heart, and the earth demon puppet transformed into a silver glow as it returned. After which, it stood beside Xiao Yan without any expression, appearing just like a loyal guard. The elder from the profound Xian sect only moved to the old man with the surname by after seeing the earth demon puppet withdraw. Both elders appeared beside Chen Xian, who had been rendered unconscious by Xiao Yan. Their hands touched his arm as they hurriedly probed Chen Xian's injuries. "Bastard, you have shattered the junior sect leader's veins." This probing immediately caused a fury to flash across their eyes. They raised their heads and glared at Xiao Yan like ferocious lions as they roared out. The veins were the most important channeling path for any Do Qi practitioner. If any problem occurred to them, it could easily result in one becoming a trash that could not practice Do Qi. Although there were some high-tier medicinal pills that could repair one's veins, they depended on how serious the injury was. Currently, the veins within Chen Xian's body had been completely shattered by Xiao Yan's attack from earlier. The chance of fully recovering from such a serious injury was extremely dim. Once he lost the support of Do Qi, Chen Xian would become a useless person. Song Qing's expression also changed slightly when he heard the roar of the old man. He did not expect Xiao Yan to attack so ruthlessly. Becoming a useless person was likely even more difficult for Chen Xian to endure compared to being killed. Xiao Yan in the air remained expressionless. He did not show the slightest sign of being affected by this. Chen Xian had repeatedly wanted to kill him. If he didn't own many different techniques, it was likely that he would have already become an ice-cold corpse. Since Chen Xian was unable to kill him, Chen Xian should learn some of the consequences that he needed to deal with when he felt the desire to kill. Things have already become like this, and no one can restore the situation. The breaking of veins is not completely without any cure. You can perhaps ask for help from the pill tower after this is over. They might be able to cure him. Xiaoying finally stepped forward with gentle footsteps while everyone was silent. Her crisp, soft voice caused one to feel the impulse of being smitten. The two elders from the profound Xian sect gradually calmed down when they heard Xiaoying opened her mouth. With the strength of the two of them, they were unable to stop Xiao Yan, who had the help of the earth demon puppet. Currently, they needed to find all means available to heal Chen Xian. Otherwise, the two of them would suffer the fury of the profound Xian sect leader when they returned. Regardless of what has happened, the most important thing right now is to obtain the items that we have been tasked to find and pass this selection. Xiao Ying's pretty eyes paused on the skinny figure in the sky before she sweetly smiled. She said, "May I know if Mr. Xiao Yan is interested? If everyone is together, we will be more confident in defeating that fierce beast." The expression of Song Qing by the side changed when he heard Xiaoying open her mouth to invite Xiao Yan. He softly said, "Currently, Xiao Yan has offended the profound Xian sect. If we invite him, it is likely that we will offend Chen Xian's group." Xiaoying faintly smiled. She ignored Song Qing's words as her pretty eyes stared at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the lovely body of this enchanting beauty. However, he shook his head and said, "Thank you for the invitation, Miss Xiaoying. However, I am used to roaming around alone, and I do not like to form groups. Therefore, I'm sorry." Xiao Yan's body had just moved after his voice sounded when he sensed an unusual gaze sweeping over his body. Under this sweeping gaze, the pores all over Xiao Yan's body felt an impulse to flee. This change caused Xiao Yan's heart to abruptly tremble. His eyes swept around the area below without leaving a trace, but he managed to gain nothing from it. Could it be an illusion? Xiao Yan slightly frowned. He was just about to withdraw his roaming gaze when his eyes suddenly narrowed. The spot where Xiao Yan's eyes had focused was on the edge of the hill. There was a black-clothed man standing with his hands behind him. The corner of this man's mouth was slowly lifted into a strange smile after having sensed Xiao Yan's gaze. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed even more when the corner of that mouth revealed a strange smile. This mysterious black-clothed person gave him a feeling of pressure. Such a feeling was something that he had only sensed from some elite Do Zuns. This pill gathering is indeed a place filled with hidden experts. It is unexpected that there is such a powerful existence. Xiao Yan's heart involuntarily sank when he sensed the great strength of this mysterious, black-clothed person. With this fellow around, it would not be easy for him to snatch away the champion spot. While Xiao Yan was absent-minded because of the unusual, black-clothed man, Chowing below had raised her eyebrows because of his rejection. She grit her teeth. This fellow seemed to never give her any face. Song Qing by the side sighed in relief at this moment. He hurriedly said, "Forget it. Xun'er, since he doesn't know what is good for him, you should also not use your good intentions to meet his cold self. When he ends up suffering a loss, he will naturally come and beg us to cooperate." Chowing involuntarily curled her mouth after hearing Song Qing's words. From the abilities Xiao Yan had displayed earlier, there was hardly anyone present who could surpass him. He might really be able to confidently obtain the task items by himself. The matter today shall end here. Goodbye. Xiao Yan ignored the conversation between the two. His eyes took a deep look at the mysterious, black-clothed man, after which he cupped his hands toward Chao Ying's group before turning around and leaving. Due to the black-clothed man, he did not wish to stay in this place for long because he sensed a faint uneasiness from that person. This kind of feeling was extremely vague, but it was just like a thorn that hung over Xiao Yan's heart. This caused him to involuntarily become more cautious. Xiao Yan waved his hand after his words sounded, and he returned the Earth Demon puppet to his storage ring, after which he rushed toward the 10,000 medicinal mountain range. "Brat, do you wish to simply leave after injuring someone?" That two elders from the profound Xian sect immediately became furious upon seeing Xiao Yan turn to leave. They rose to the sky together and rushed toward Xiao Yan with killing auras all over their bodies. Xiao Yan ignored these two profound Xian sect's elders, who had descended into fury. A silver glow flashed under his feet, after which a thunderous roar resounded over the hill. All one could see was a couple of afterimages in the sky. Xiao Yan's figure instantly disappeared from the gazes of everyone on the hill. The two elders from the profound Xian sect leaped in fury as they saw Xiao Yan disappeared within the blink of an eye. They continued to utter various curses. That black-clothed man at the edge of the hill watched the spot Xiao Yan had disappeared to. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a strange smile. A soft mumble was quietly released, accompanied by a dark chillness. "Xiao Yan, you won't be able to escape?" Xiao Yan left the hill where Chao Ying's group was situated and flew toward the vast and endless 10,000 medicinal mountain range, after which he moved back and forth over the sky for a moment before finally rushing toward the interior of the vast mountain range. After rushing into the mountain range, the first thing that Xiao Yan sensed was the dense energy within this mountain range. No wonder it was called 10,000 Medicinal Mountain Range. With the natural energy of this place, it was not abnormal for it to grow many natural treasures that were difficult to find in the outside world. The continuous roars of magical beasts could be heard across this mountain range. Perhaps it was because humans kept barging in recently, but the roars seemed to have contained additional violent killing intent. After being infected by the wild, violent seed within this place, these magical beasts were far fiercer than those in the outside world. Xiao Yan landed on a mountain top that appeared like a dagger. He knit his eyebrows as he swept his eyes all over the place. By relying on his exceptional spiritual perception, he could sense quite a number of unusually powerful auras in this mountain range. Among these auras, the most terrifying one was in the northeastern direction. Xiao Yan's eyes looked to the northeast. It was partially visible under the cover of the energy fog. He slightly frowned as he talked to himself in a soft voice. If I have guessed correctly, the aura in the northeastern direction should be the strongest within this mountain range. It should be the ultimate beast of the 10,000 medicinal mountain range that Song Qing had mentioned, a magical beast with half a foot into the 8th rank. Such an existence was exceptionally powerful. Even some elite Dozuns would be somewhat humbled if they fought it. The fighting strength of a high-rank magical beast was quite terrifying. Moreover, a magical beast that could reach such a rank was definitely not an ordinary beast. It might even possess the bloodline of a fierce beast from ancient times. If this were the case, it would be many times more difficult to deal with. Magical beasts with the bloodline of a fierce beast from ancient times were similar to the strange clans of humans that had been passed down since ancient times in that they possessed certain unique qualities. Xiao Yan had deeply probed around during his journey here. Although he had seen quite a number of uncommon medicinal ingredients, he did not find one that truly attracted him. This outcome did not match the name of this 10,000 medicinal mountain range. Earlier, Song Qing mentioned that the fierce beast had taken the many precious treasures in this 10,000 medicinal mountain range into his cave. Now, all I can do is head over there and take a look. Xiao Yan's eyes looked to the northeastern area as his face revealed an expression of deep thought. Since he had already entered this 10,000 medicinal mountain range, he would need to clearly probe it. After all, only this place possessed the items he had been tasked to find. Xiao Yan did not hesitate after making up his mind. He identified the direction he needed to head before lowering his body and flying toward the northeastern direction. There were many magical beasts in the 10,000 medicinal mountain range. If they were to end up pestering him, it would slow down his speed even if they were not too troublesome to deal with. Hence, Xiao Yan completely hid his aura along the way. He would purposefully make a detour when he meets some stronger magical beasts. Thus, Xiao Yan's entire journey was quite smooth one. This continued for around 2 hours or so before he finally entered the deepest parts of the 10,000 medicinal mountain range. The deeper Xiao Yan ventured into the 10,000 medicinal range, the stronger the aura of the magical beasts present. He had even met a powerful magical beast that had reached rank 7 along the way. However, it was fortunate that Xiao Yan had been prepared and had not been detected. Xiao Yan carefully traveled for another 10+ minutes before he quietly landed in a lush, green, giant tree. He raised his head. His eyes were grave as he looked at the perilous mountain peak in front of him. The size of this mountain peak was extremely vast. It appeared just like a pillar supporting the sky as it inserted itself into the clouds. A rich energy fog covered the middle parts of the mountain, causing one to have difficulty probing what was happening within. This mountain peak stood in the middle of the 10,000 medicinal mountain range. Although Xiao Yan was some distance away, he was still shocked by the rich energy that seeped out of the mountain. If one were to train in such a place, one would definitely be able to obtain twice the effect with half the effort. Unfortunately, the energy of this place was mixed with a wild, violent seed. One needed to refine and remove this seed during absorption in order to successfully merge the energy into one's body. Of course, the richness of the energy in this place was not what had caused Xiao Yan's face to appear grave. Instead, he had sensed at least 3 auras on this mountain that had reached the rank 7 level. In other words, there were a total of 3 Do Zone class magical beasts on this mountain. Moreover, other than these 3 fierce auras, Xiao Yan also sensed a concealed aura with a monstrous fierceness vaguely seeping down from the mountain. Clearly, the owner of this aura should be the leader of this mountain range, the ultimate fierce beast that Song Qing had spoken of. It is indeed very strong. Moreover, from the fierceness that is seeping out of its aura, it is clearly not a beast one should offend. Xiao Yan carefully withdrew his spiritual perception. He looked at the enormous mountain peak before musing for a moment, after which his toes pressed onto the leaves, and his body quietly rushed into the mountains in a quiet fashion like a large bird. Xiao Yan suddenly sensed a vague, probing aura sweep over his body while he was rushing into the mountains. His heart tensed. His spiritual strength hurriedly surged out and wrapped around his body. Xiao Yan was using his invisible spiritual strength to hide himself. The probing aura paused for a moment and returned to scan the area a couple of times before slowly leaving. Xiao Yan only sighed in relief within his heart when he sensed the probing aura become distant. His body immediately moved, and it shot like an arrow that had been released from the string of a bow. With a swoosh sound, he rushed into the forest and quietly leaped to the top of the mountain. After flying over the forest for a while, Xiao Yan was somewhat stunned to discover that there were no traces of other magical beasts. It was likely due to those powerful auras. It was not rare for a beast to occupy land and proclaim himself king within the magical beast world. Xiao Yan's speed was significantly increased without the presence of other magical beasts blocking him. When he was just about to reach the middle of the mountain, his flashing figure suddenly paused. His body subsequently moved and appeared on a tree branch, after which he shut his eyes and inhaled a deep breath of the serene fragrance that was slowly scattering in the air. This is the scent of Pill Soul Serum? Xiao Yan suddenly opened his eyes after taking a deep sniff. Joy flashed across his eyes. This Pill Soul Serum was one of the key medicinal ingredients he needed to mix with the core soul marrow. This thing was extremely rare. It was unexpected that he was able to find it here. This 10,000 medicinal mountain range really lived up to its reputation. This kind of treasure was something that Xiao Yan needed the most. He would naturally not give it up easily. His body immediately moved, and he quietly landed on the ground like an agile monkey, after which he flashed and hurried away. Xiao Yan rushed in the direction where the serene fragrance originated from. Around a couple of minutes later, he suddenly came to a stop. His eyes stared at the area in front of him. There was a stream in front of Xiao Yan. The source of the stream was a 10-meter or so large rock. That enormous rock was covered in green moss. At the center of the rock was a hole. One could vaguely see a jade-green, viscous liquid within it. The serene fragrance was being emitted from that spot. It is indeed Pill Soul Serum. The joy in Xiao Yan's eyes became even more intense upon seeing what it was. However, he did not recklessly charge out. He was aware that such a treasure would be guarded by a magical beast. Those who could seize territory and become king was definitely not be an ordinary character. If one was careless, it would be normal to fall in the most unexpected place. Xiao Yan's eyes carefully swept around after shifting away from the hole in the rock. A moment later, he was surprised to discover that there was not the slightest trace of any magical beast. Xiao Yan slightly knit his eyebrows. This matter was out of the ordinary. It was impossible for other magical beasts to completely ignore a treasure like Pill Soul Serum. It is definitely hiding here. Xiao Yan licked his mouth. He contemplated where it could be for a moment before he shifted his eyes. Suddenly, they paused on the lower part of the enormous rock. That spot was the source of the stream. It was a deep pool that was around 100 feet in size. The pool was extremely deep. One was unable to see its bottom with just a glance. The pool was also extremely calm. There was not even the slightest ripple. Everything appeared extremely silent and peaceful. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed as he looked at the deep pool. He was certain there was a magical beast hidden within that deep pool. However, the ability of this magical beast to conceal its aura was extremely great. He was unable to sense anything. However, the thing that he found troublesome to deal with was the fact that he was unaware of just what kind of magical beast it was. Hence, he was unable to find a solution at that moment. This place was essentially the base camp of the 10,000 medicinal mountain ranges magical beast. If any accident were to occur, he would not be able to endure the combined attacks of so many magical beasts regardless of how strong he was. Xiao Yan hesitated when his gaze paused on some pale blue-colored scales a short distance away. The scales were around the size of a palm. They were covered with many mysterious lines. The scales had randomly fallen around the place, and some extended into the deep pool. A glint flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. He curled his hand, and a slight suction force surged out, after which he quietly sucked that scale into his palm. The scale entered his hand, and a cool feeling immediately appeared. Xiao Yan's eyes looked at it as he pondered. After musing for a while, Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed. He had roamed all over the place during his training over the years. His experiences were many, and he had a clue as to the origins of these mysterious scales. The scales are blue in color. The lines on them are just like the shape of snakes. Occasionally, a tiger pattern is mixed within it. If I have guessed correctly, the magical beast protecting this Pill Soul Serum should be an extremely rare water affinity magical beast, mysterious water tiger snake. Xiao Yan quietly sighed in relief in his heart after identifying the hidden magical beast. This magical beast might be fierce, but he had a way to deal with it,